Stalik. This is in the Yud Shvat, 10th of Shvat, next Shabbos in the year 1950. So Chabad is very strict about not having a hesped, not to mourn or eulogize a person. Very, very, we're very strict about it, like to the extreme. And to the extent that not just during the funeral of the Levaya, but even after that, the Rebbe said, instead of saying a eulogy about the person, especially in Kent, we're going to say stories about the person. Stories, and then the Rebbe started listing off, just saying stories of the Frierdiker Rebbe. Every single day he said different stories. One of the stories in the Frierdiker Rebbe was just 16 years old. His father, the Rebbe Hershel, was very sick, and he wanted him. He wanted that he should move to. The Rebbe Hershel was thinking he should move to Eretz Yisrael. So his wife, Rebbe Sarah, asked, "Who are you leaving the Chassidim to? You know, you have thousands of Chassidim in Russia, and hundreds of thousands of Chassidim, and they're all, they need the Rebbe." She says, "I have my son here, the Frierdiker Rebbe," and he was 16 years old then. But just a 16-year-old is already able, at that point, he's already able to be a Rebbe. A very special connection, personal, my father has with the Rebbe, Frierdiker Rebbe, because he's named after the Frierdiker Rebbe, Yosef Yitzchak, and the Rebbe was the one who told him to have the name Yosef Yitzchak. They wanted to know what they should name him. His grandfather Yitzchak was arrested. They didn't know if he was alive for sure or dead for sure. They asked the Rebbe what to do, and the Rebbe says, "Give a name, Yosef Yitzchak." It's very connected. So that's the first part of the Farbrengen. And you got to say the Chaim. Say the Chaim on this Chaim.
Oh,
It's a seltzer.
I'll do it on the coffee.
I'll do the coffee.
Oh, so now I have to continue it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So since you said that we said we don't do a spadim, but we tell stories. So I want to tell a story about Rabbi Itkin. The theme that comes out of this story is there's something that beautiful I learned from this Ma'aseh Shahaya that I was there, and what I learned, you'll see from the story. What I learned is that you can be somebody who's b'darchei shalim completely, and it doesn't mean being a pushover. You can get stuff done, and you can get them done in like a tenacious way, and like this got to get done. We're gonna get it done, but yet with no argument, with no with zero. It also shows a little bit, Rabbi Itkin was so sweet always that sometimes it was lost on people how sharp he was too. So this story also displays this a little bit. So it was in the Marriott City Center where I was kashering for an event, right, under Rabbi Itkin. So Rabbi Itkin would come in to check this and that, give me instructions. Mendel with this tilt skillet. If you notice, there's a rivet in the thing over here. So make sure you have to be careful to torch that rivet. Or whatever, went through each thing and exactly how he wants it done, whatever. Anyway, so when I was kashering the sheet pans, the sheet trays, which they're used with also with oil, right? And they have on the end of them, they have like a lip that like curls out on the end, right? That's what they're made. It's a sheet pan, and it comes up a little bit, and then on the very edge it like curls over. And Rabbi Itkin really didn't like that we're using them and kashering them, and what's it called? Because that little lip, it can hold like schmaltz in it, and he really didn't like that thing. At the same time, there's in this place, you're gonna start telling them, oh, buy new sheet pans and what's it called? You're trying to forge a relationship with these people. You have to be, Anyway, so so I'm middle of kashing with the big roofing torch, yeah, and he tells me, he walks behind me, he tells me, Mendel, burn this one here. He said, like, do it very. So I told him, like, of course, I know, I like you taught me how to do them. So he tells me, no, I mean, like, really, like basically without saying it, he told me pretty much destroy the pan. Fine, okay, I'm not I don't argue with Rabbi Itkin. That's what he tells me. So I'm torching this thing, right? All of a sudden it makes a popping noise because it starts warping. And then also he said, especially by the lip, and I'm getting the lip, and it's mamish smoking, because you're burning that schmaltz inside of there. And it's everything turning red hot. And so John, who was the kitchen manager, comes behind me and he's watching and he goes, and he has almost like a panicked look in his eyes. That because I'm destroying the what's it called? He's like, this guy's gonna do this to everything. He's gonna destroy my whole kitchen, and he's thinking like he should say something. Anyways, Rabbi Itkin was waiting for this moment. He planned this. He walks behind John, and looks and he goes, "Oh, John, this is why I really felt it would be such a better idea to just buy sheet pans." Because it's such a shame everything should get destroyed like this. And he walked away. Anyways, the next time I was at the Marriott, they had sheet pans. They had bought sheet pans, which were the kosher sheet pans and would stay in the kosher locked thing. So it was just a beautiful. First of all, the sharpness of it, and the understanding of people, and that he knew exactly what the reaction would be. He knew exactly how to tell, and he told them, and not only that, but they bought it without making really any ruffles, without anybody getting, you know what I mean. At the same time, he got what he wanted. He got what had to get done, and b'darchi shalom. But so, anyways, this is how I learned that you don't have to be aggressive necessarily. Rabbi Darren's here. So anyway. Oh no, it's not me then. It's you sharing. It's Itkin capturing. Yeah, with the torch and the in his hand he's holding the thing that checks the temperature.
Right.
To make sure the temperature reaches the. But anyways, that was the what I learned out of this was that you can get things done without being aggressive, and b'darchi shalom doesn't mean being a pushover. It means to get it done without creating bad feelings and the.
Yeah.
So,
okay. That's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that's with the propane tank and the roofing torch. Yeah.
Well, so let's once we're going on topic of stories, let's say a little more stories. One thing for sure, my father would never handle anybody calling him, achremis kedoshim, making him holy after he passed away. He was a chassid. He wasn't a kaddish, a holy person. And as a matter of fact, he would say, when he quote his father, he says, "Whoever's a tzaddik, please come out of, I only hang out with guys who are like me, not with tzaddikim." He says one time, this is when he was in Florida as a bacher, his best 3 years, he always talked about it, his most formative years. He was sent by the Rebbe with a group of other yeshiva students to open a yeshiva in Florida. So it's Erev Purim, and he had a Tinus Esther, rather, you could say, everyone is fasting, and he has a massive headache. I guess he didn't have his coffee that morning. And he went to lay down. Now, all the other Bachrim, there's no Seder, no learning, Tinus Esther in the afternoon. So they go and they, I'm saying they reach out, they make tables, they make Jews, put on tefillin, and he's laying in bed and sleeping. And his Karusa, his partner who usually goes with, is out there doing with Chaim. And he's laying in bed with a massive headache. He thinks to himself, hold on, there's going to be a report going into the Rebbe with a list of everybody who went on Chaim, what we all did, and it's going to say everyone's name, and my name, Tinus Esther, is going to be missing because I'm in bed. How's that going to, how am I going to be able to live like that? My name's going to be missing from Duch to the Rebbe, so he right away jumped out of bed. He schlepped the table with him. He set up on a street corner a few blocks away from the yeshiva, block away from the beach, and he set up a table and started doing Mitzrayim, and he said to himself, I'll do Mitzrayim for an hour and go back to bed. Hopefully I'll get back on time. He'll wake up in time for Megillah. He's out there in Mitzrayim, and some person, some started nudging him. A young guy with massive hair, Hawaiian shirt, totally wild look in his eyes, a little bit of a wild person. Everything he was doing was wild. And then he comes over to him and he says, oh no, this person's going to start bothering me. He asked him, are you Jewish? And he said, of course. Oh, where you from? Michigan. He says, I'm a Michiganer. And he put on the phone with him, but this person would not leave, and he hung out with him the whole time, the whole day. And he's trying politely to tell him, I want to go back. And finally, he told him, tonight's going to be a big Purim party with a Megillah reading in yeshiva. Come and have a good time by the party. And he left. And what does he expect? This person shows up to the Megillah Purim party. Nobody else knew him. And he was very exciting and eccentric, you could say. Every time they banged Purim, he was banging. And then he stayed for the dancing, but then he stayed for the Farbrengen afterwards. He was saying with everybody else. And then there was a Farbrengen with Rabbi Shapiro, the Rosh Yeshiva. And when at one point he got up to dance on the table, together with another one of the members, I think Rabbi Korf. And then this person jumped up with them with his wild hair and shirt, dancing with Rabbi Shapiro on the table. And my father ended up sleeping on the floor that night because this person took his bed. And all the other friends were saying, Rabbi, what did he bring? And this person stayed over the next day in yeshiva, and the next day, and the next day, he didn't leave. And after a short time, a few days, a few weeks, he went to yeshiva to Morristown. And then, Baruch Hashem, he became a chassid, had a big Jewish family. And a couple of years later, down the line, he had a son who he sent to yeshiva in Pittsburgh, because I guess he liked Rabbi Itkin. And I guess his son took a playbook out of his father's young days. And the son was also a little bit, you could say, jumpy, excitable, super hyperactive, or nowadays they'll give him very special titles. And people in the yeshiva didn't, they said, we want to sort of send him out of the yeshiva, tell him to kick him out of yeshiva, because his behavior is unbefitting for a yeshiva student, especially in such a great yeshiva like in Pittsburgh. And so he called on my father and he said, I know you're not the one to decide if his boy stays in yeshiva or not. However, if you wouldn't have accepted me the way I was, the way I looked back, the way I was in Miami, I wouldn't have been around. I never would have been sending my son to yeshiva. But now, because you accepted me the way I was, that's why my son is in yeshiva in Pittsburgh. And my father, of course, got the message. He made sure the boy stayed at least to the end of the year. Not sure where he is now. But yeah, so that's a story. Always, there's no such thing as always push yourself to think what would the Rebbe want of me at any given moment and to help every year.
Yeah, but by the way, this is also I can tell you from personal experience, because we're talking, it made me think about it since you were talking about a wild boy, who's so those who Reb Pinchas could tell you, he was here back then. I was when I was a kid, I was very, very wild, and it would have been very easy to okay, let's it's such a kid, he's a disruption, which I for sure was, and I can tell you all through the years, and even now I'm still wild, but all through the years, it was no matter what I was no matter what trouble I was being involved in or whatever, it was always Rabbi Itkin was always accepted as, not only accepted as you are, even sometimes I would say he got a little bit nachas from the he didn't call it Wildkeit, he called it the Lebedigkeit. So it's really, when you think about coming Yud Shvat, what does it mean? What does it mean, his kashrus to the Rebbe? It's being connected to the Rebbe. I mean, first of all, there's time, like you're saying about like, what am I going to put in the duch? Really, there's really what to learn from that. If we would be guided by I'm going to send a duch. First of all, everybody should be sending a duch to the Rebbe, because it creates an accountability. And all of a sudden, wait a second, I'm going to write a duch.
You got to answer.
I mean, I think there were plenty of Tzivos Hashem rallies, which, by the way, we need to talk about Sunday night, and not this Sunday, but next Sunday is the Yud Aleph Shvat. I think it's Kedai Tzivos Hashem rally. But I remember there was plenty of Tzivos Hashem rallies where Lav Dafka we felt like doing so much. But okay, it's fine. And so that's what you're going to write to the Rebbe Neduch. So that's a part. A part of the thing is really like being mekusher to the Rebbe. It means also there's a certain accountability. It's not just I'm a, but the second part of that is that being mekusher to the Rebbe means, I mean, listen, obviously none of us are none of us are even we're not even like a be'erech, even remotely. But at the same time, just like a person is called Adam, right? A Jew is called Adam, right? Why? Because Adam al Elyon is simple. Okay, but you're not what you're better than the Eibishter, of course not. But you're Adam al Elyon, so the same thing. Adam al Elyon applies also by a chassid. How we have to be by the Rebbe is similar to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe, we know the Rebbe's approach. The Avos Yisrael, the accepting of somebody no matter where he was, like one of the famous story with a writer, or like I'm not exactly a journalist, or maybe it was like a writer who wrote columns, in the papers, and he was very, very like leftist, anti-religious. It was an Israeli in an Israeli paper, whatever. Very leftist, very, very anti-religious, and what's it called? Anyway, he went to the Rebbe. He was in New York, whatever. However, he got there. However, somebody suggested. He went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe told him. He said, I very much enjoy your writing. And then the guy was surprised. What do you mean you like my writing? But certainly the Rebbe knows that my the opinions I express or whatever. So I'm just I generally like to use the actual words that are in this story. I don't have it in front of me, and I don't remember it exactly. So at least I want to just give a what do you call it when you give I'm giving a disclosure that I'm paraphrasing here. I'm just giving an idea, not the actual words of the Rebbe. But what basically the Rebbe told him, he said you write beautifully. The content we can work on you, But he picked the even somebody who lichure, right, at first glance this person was using his thing negatively for a negative thing. He was writing against like things like Miu Yehudi and all these. He was writing like he was anti. And yet, what did the Rebbe find in him? He found the good, the little thing of good in him. And with Rabbi Itkin also, we see this is what it means to be a chassid. It means what it means to be mekusher is that you also where you just like the Rebbe is finding good in people. So part of his kashrus means being part of us being connected to the Rebbe means that we are finding the beauty and the good and in every single Jew and bringing that out. And I think this is one way that we can be. First of all, with Shevat coming up, we can be mekusher to the Rebbe, and this is also it says that we know that the way to there's by Yiddishkeit we found the key to living forever, and the way you live forever is you influence and you create children and talmidim v'chulu who continue what because a person is not the body. A person is, what are you about? What is it that you're all about? You should know. I already gave my tzavah to my kids. Why? Because you never know.
How many assets?
No, I'm saying you never know. I'm not planning on going anytime soon, but you never know. What was my tzavah? I just told them someday in Mitzvah Hashem, after a lot of years, if you don't see my physical body, and you can't even find it under a table. So and you want to know what I think, or you want to know what I would say. I said, open up a Torah, and read inside. That's where I am. I said, not only that's where I am. That's where my father is. There's Zayda. That's where he is, and that's where you should be, and that's where your kids should find you, and where they should find me, and where they should. So the same thing is Rabbi Itkin lives forever. And not only that, but we can make sure he lives forever by continuing on this thing of Avos Yisrael and of Darkei Shalom and of bringing Yidden bring them closer to Yiddishkeit by showing them love. And I can tell you, Rabbi Itkin excelled at this thing because I remember I would go by Russians, and there were Russians. You would ask, I'd ask, do you want to put on film? No, they don't. They're totally not interested. And this happened a few times, a few different Russians over the years. And then they tell me, when Yosef Itkin comes, I put on tefillin. You understand? He's so anti everything. He doesn't want to, nothing, not interested. No. And then by the way, when Yosef Itkin comes, I put on tefillin.
An interesting story, my father. One time, a friend of mine, his name is Meir Waddle. He went inside to a Russian, an apartment building, to a Russian house, and he gave the person a picture of the Rebbe, and the person says, "Which Rebbe? Rebbe Itkin?"
Oh, that's the Rebbe, Rebbe Itkin. By the way, it's the same thing. That's the thing. Really, really, between a chassan and a Rebbe, there's really no. In other words, the bittul to a Rebbe, right? It doesn't just mean that it doesn't mean that the Rebbe is everything and I'm nothing. It means that my nothingness, it's my bittul, is because I'm totally included in Rebbe. I don't have a metzias of my own. The Vaeira isn't to make ourselves nothing. The thing is to make ourselves nullified, and what's it called? That we're mamish, that to work on ourselves, where we become less and less our own megushim physical thinking selves, and become more just an extension of Rebbe. So in this case, Rebbe Itkin is really it's really Rebbe, because where do you draw the line? Where's the line between Rebbe and Rabbi Itkin? There's no line.
So I'm going to share a little video clip over here from a Chris. You guys have a lot of enough. You weren't smiling yet today. You'll start smiling now, Mirz Hashem. This is from a Russian. You see my father making lebedik with the Russians.